Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children is the name of the Welsh orphanage on an enchanted island where Jacob Portman's grandpa Abraham Portman was shipped off to live from his home in Poland when he was 12. Jacob grows up loving Grandpa Portman's tales of his adventurous life, from living in the orphanage to performing in the circus to fighting in World War II. Grandpa has amazing vintage photos of the people from his stories, which he shows Jacob, and which are interspersed throughout the book so the reader too can see. There is the boy with bees living inside of him, some of them swarming on his head and arms. There is also the girl who could make fire, holding a glowing orb of it in her hands. Then there is also the levitating girl, hovering above the ground. Grandpa Portman's tales are so tall that the family takes them with a grain of salt, or assumes he is being metaphorical when he says that he fled Poland during World War II because the monsters were trying to destroy his people. After all, everyone knows that the Nazis were monsters. No one believed he was running from actual monsters, not even young Jacob, at least not until he sees one. One day, Jacob is working at his boring summer job when he receives a frantic call from Grandpa Portman asking for the key to his gun safe, which the family has confiscated, worried about his mental health. "They're coming for me, understand? I don't know how they found me after all these years, but they did. What am I supposed to fight them with, a damn butter knife?" When Jacob stops by to check on him, he finds the door open with a gash through the screen and a flashlight lying in the yard. He grabs the flashlight and runs into the woods behind the house, where he finds his grandpa face down in a bed of creeper, soaked in blood from gashes across his abdomen, dying. His voice barely audible, Grandpa tells him, "Go to the island, Jacob. Here it's not safe. You'll be safe there. Promise me. I thought I could protect you. I should have told you a long time ago. There's no time. Find the bird in the loop on the other side of the old man's grave, September 3rd, 1940. Emerson, the letter. Tell them what happened, Jacob." With those words, Grandpa Portman dies. Then a strange feeling comes over Jacob. Every nerve in his body begins to tingle. He rises and somehow knows exactly where to point the flashlight in the brush. Standing there is a monster with tentacles for a mouth, just like in Grandpa Portman's stories. The monster flees. When Jacob tells this story, his parents start bringing him to a therapist. Police investigate and conclude Grandpa Portman was killed by a pack of feral dogs. As time passes, Jacob begins to doubt what he saw. Then one day, cleaning out Grandpa's house, Aunt Susie finds a book that Grandpa had inscribed to Jacob Magellan Portman and the worlds he has yet to discover. The book turns out to be the selected works of Emerson. Grandpa had mentioned Emerson as he lay dying in the woods. This sends Jacob on a mission. He has to honor his grandfather's dying wish and go to the enchanted island. His therapist agrees the trip would be good for him to get closure, so his parents agree. His father comes with him to do some research on the local birds for a book he's writing. They set off on a voyage to the island of Cairnholm. The island is full of sheep farmers and fishermen. Because it is so remote, generators provide the only power. It is like stepping back in time. Only Jacob is about to step even further back. While Jacob's father studies bird colonies during the day, Jacob walks to the far side of the island to find the orphanage and relay his grandfather's message to anyone who might still be living there. But when he gets there, he finds the roof bombed out and the home abandoned in ruins. There's no sign of life until he sees the girl. He recognizes her from one of Grandpa Portman's photos. But she is exactly the same as in the picture and has not aged a bit since World War II. How can this be? The girl sees Jacob and runs. He only wants to talk to her, but with her fleeing, he has no choice but to give chase. They run through the bogs and finally into a cave. The girl disappears. When Jacob walks out of the cave, he discovered he has traveled back in time. The home is intact and filled with the peculiar children from his grandfather's photos. The date is September 3rd, 1940. Miss Peregrine, the headmistress of the home, is a woman who can take the form of an actual peregrine falcon. She is an Imbrian, a bird woman who can travel back and forth through loops in time. She is resetting time over and over again for the children to September 3rd, 1940, just before the bombs hit. Jacob demands an explanation, and finally Miss Peregrine explains to him that her mission is to gather peculiar children and protect them. By peculiar, she means children with special powers, like the girl's ability to make fire. When I have a handful of Imbrians, along with Miss Finch, Miss Avocet, and a few others who can change into the form of a bird and travel through loops in time. But they must be vigilant, for they are being hunted by the same type of monsters as the one who killed Grandpa Portman. It turns out Grandpa Portman was peculiar too. His special power was that he could see the monsters, the creatures with tentacles for mouths called the Hologast. The Hologast have helpers known as whites, who are doubly dangerous because they look like humans. The only difference is their white eyes, for they have no pupils. Jacob realizes that he, too, saw a monster in the woods the night his grandfather died, which makes him peculiar, too. One night, Miss Avocet travels through time to Miss Peregrine's home to relay a warning. The Hologast came in the night and captured Miss Wren and Miss Treekeeper. They are taking Imbrines, trying to coordinate their time travel powers to achieve immortality. But the Imbrines know this is a perversion of the natural order of things and can never be. They must run or fight. Will the children prevail? Will the Imbrines be safe? Find out by reading Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children and the sequel, Hollow City. The end.